Well, hello and welcome to I Love Gay today. And this is our first Pride Month episode. And we have something really special here. The company and business and project we're going to be featuring is from Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo has been amazing over the years. I could tell you that as being part of the LGBT community, Wells Fargo has stepped up and sponsored the NGLCC, the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, over the years, and they've got someone on their team that's been dedicated to just LGBT outreach and so forth. They've really been there for the community for all these years. So what's interesting now, this is a very inspirational. This is very much a true COVID story. So they have this from all the PPP loans that they had written. In 2020, they put together what's called the Open for Business Fund. And what they did is they dedicated all the processing fees that they had earned from these loans, and they've dedicated that towards nonprofit donations. And one of the projects that was part of this is called the Wells Fargo Open Sign Campaign. And so they brought on 3 LGBT artists from across the country and had them put together these beautiful artistic open signs for businesses that were part of the Wells Fargo Loan Camp project. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce the 3 artists, and Sophia, Deborah, and Gabriela. And what we'll do is we'll start with Sophia, if you can just kind of introduce yourself, and then also kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of became the journey, in fact, how you became the artist today.
Sure. Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm Sophia Yeshi. I am a queer, Black, and South Asian illustrator and graphic designer, and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I currently live in Brooklyn, New York. I create work that is really bold, colorful, and demands attention. And the subject matter of my work typically is Black women, women of color, and the LGBT community. So I try to create work that I feel like supports and uplifts and empowers communities that I'm a part of, that I feel like I didn't see a lot of representation for when I was growing up. And so kind of brings me to how I got started. I've always really been interested in art. It's something that I, really admired, but I didn't quite see a place for myself in it. When I was 12 years old, I discovered Photoshop, and I just downloaded a bunch of trials for years until, I could afford it. And I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer at that point and be able to create artwork that people could relate to and that they just liked in general. That it was something that was really exciting for me. And so, now I'm a freelancer, and it all worked out.
That's amazing. And Gabriela.
Thank you for having me. My name is Gabriela. I'm a Salvadorian and Nicaraguan artist based in San Francisco Bay Area. I started out by reading comic books that my mom would thrift for me as kind of my inspiration for where my art is now, as like bold, colorful, playful, and my work, even though it is digital illustration, it is mixed media with an emphasis on the Central American diaspora, with a history of protest art as well, given just the region's history.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. And Deborah.
I actually moved here from Oakland, California. So I'm in Brooklyn right now, and I have been for the last 3 weeks. Yeah. And I've actually been illustrating professionally, I would say, like, as a freelancer. I've only been freelancing for like a year and a half at this point, but I actually started out working in tech. So it wasn't until like when I was 21 in college where I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be a designer anymore. So I kind of just like, I was really lucky because I actually had a return offer for a tech job as a UX designer. And so that gave me enough time for me to like set aside like my schoolwork, like pass, but also create a brand new portfolio from scratch. So I was really lucky that I think it was just like a combination of passion and luck that came out of my way and just got me to where I am right now. And I am so lucky that this is my full-time thing, because for so many people, like that's usually not the case. So I feel very happy to be here. And I'm just, again, also very excited to be on this project. So thank you also for having me.
Well, I think part of the inspiration, there's so many, especially in today's environment where you have programs such as Lesbians Who Tech, and then you have Girls Who Code, and you have a lot of programs that are really trying to bring women to the forefront when it comes to a lot of these industries and so forth. But how was it? Like, a lot of folks are going to be wondering, like, how did Wells Fargo find you, or how did you become part? Even starting with Deborah, how did you become a part of this?
I honestly asked, like, hey, how did you find me? Because like I feel like there's so many like amazing artists out there. Like, why me? And I think they said that they didn't remember. Like, yeah, honestly, like we thought about it and like we just found you. Like, we just don't remember how we found you, but we did. I was like, okay, like I'll take that answer. Like, that you found me. I'm on this project. Like, this is great.
It worked. How about for Sophia, or Gabriela?
I'm also not sure. I don't think I asked because to me, it doesn't really matter most of the time. Like sometimes it could be social media, it could be from another project. But I would say that they probably, wanted to work with, diverse women artists that, have a voice and have a distinct point of view, which I feel like all of our work does. And I feel like we're all pretty vocal on like the things that we support and care about. So I would imagine that's part of why they chose us.
So it sounds like you guys just did a great job of keeping yourselves out there. Or Gabriela, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I also didn't ask, but I just remember looking in my inbox and having to be like, really? Like me? Because Wells Fargo was my first bank. So I was like, what? Like very full circle. But I'm just really excited because like Sophia shared, I've never seen Sophia or Deb's art before. And I've just been really excited since finding their work. And it's just been really exciting to collectively be part of this campaign.
Yeah. Well, we're going to also, not only are we going to link to all the articles and so forth that feature your artwork and your websites, but also try to pull in some of the art from the signs of the businesses you guys each individually worked with. But I would say with Sophia, tell us about the business and the artwork that you created.
Yeah, so far I've created 2 signs. And the first one was for Roxtography. It was owned by Roxanne Best. And so Roxanne's business was primarily focused on photography, it seemed like, before the pandemic. She's also very interested in health. And she teaches yoga classes. And she, I think, was doing a lot of event photography. So once the pandemic hit, it sounded like a lot of her revenue streams kind of stopped, and she had to figure out, how she was going to keep her business afloat. And so she actually combined her love of photography and nature, and she started these stand-up paddleboard yoga classes. So literally, there's people like in the middle of a lake, and they're on paddle boards and they're doing handstands and things that I know I would not be able to do. And she's a photographer, so she like takes photos of them. And it seemed just really, inspiring and interesting. So Wells Fargo, they had an article they wrote, and I took a lot of inspiration from her actual photography. So she did some underwater photography of like stingrays and different animals. And I kind of just combined like this element of photography, the paddleboarding, the love of nature. And I just tried to create something that really represented her and was very specific to her business.
How about Gabriela?
So my first design was for Prep Atlanta, and my second design was for Los Tres Pollos. And for me, it was really special to do food-specific illustrations because during the pandemic, my family and I, we actually started a mutual aid group along with one of my best friends called Mission Meals Coalition. And because my mom is a small business owner too, we had a really like firsthand experience of seeing the larger impacts and implications of the pandemic. And food work is just so integral to the work that I do outside of illustration, because I don't do illustration full time. I organize and I work at a local nonprofit. So I was just really excited to highlight them. Prep Atlanta is a commercial kitchen that really pivoted and made it accessible for food trucks, different food entrepreneurs to continue pursuing their small businesses. And then Los Tres Pollos is a local restaurant in LA. So it was really cool.
Wow. I have to find this. Los Tres Pollos. What part of LA do you know?
I don't actually.
I'll have to look them up.
Yeah.
It's funny because you guys are all, it's all New York and California. And I'm from LA originally, moved to New York back in 2013 and have been on the East Coast ever since. So anyway, LA is always near and dear to my heart. So whenever I hear these stories, I have to go find these places. And Deborah, tell us a little bit about the artwork you worked on.
Yeah, so I actually created 3 signs. The one that I'm most excited about is for a music production company called Precision Productions. And I'm not entirely sure where they're currently based in the States, but I know that they come from Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that was my favorite one because it just like combines two of my absolute favorite things, which is like plants and complicated machinery and devices that just allow me to go like super ham on detail and everything. And I actually listened to some of their music, and it's very poppy and like really dancey and really like it feels like really good. And it like just the colors that, you know, were inspiring, like that inspired me to make this piece, just like I think was really integral to just showing the kind of energy that they have.
Yeah.
So it was just like one of my favorite drawings that I think I've done in a little while to make the sign. So I'm really thankful that they had all these elements to create this piece. So yeah.
You feel inspired now to be able to, especially when it comes to these business and corporations putting themselves out there for Pride. And are you looking forward to doing more projects like this?
I hope so. Like I am, my inbox is always open, so just always waiting. But yeah, I'm crossing my fingers and everything for that.
How about you, Gabriela?
Yes, also very open. And as a Central American artist, there's just such limited access for my community. So anytime I highlight my diaspora and the work I can, you know, do, I'm very open as well.
I love that. And I know for Sophia, your website, I mean, you've done work with UPS and with Google, and you've got some amazing, you know, clients that you've worked with over the years.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for projects that support like Black women, women of color, the queer community. One thing I do want to do more work that directly supports the queer community, because I feel like I don't often get those projects, even though I'm just like, I'm queer everywhere I go. But so I definitely want more work, and not just for Pride, like, you know, all year round. I want to do projects like that. So yeah, if anyone is listening, hit me up.
On that note, what's next for you? Do you have any any exciting projects you're working on now or coming up soon?
Yeah, I can't talk about them.
Oh, okay.
I have some exciting projects coming up. Yeah, I can't say anything specific.
No. Anybody else have anything you can chat about? Or
so I actually work a lot in comics and graphic novels. So one of the lucky breaks that I was talking about is just like landing a very good literary agent who like asked me like, hey, do you want to make comics? And I was like, I never thought about it. And then like, it was just so serendipitous. And then now I'm working on like book projects until 2027 so far. Wow. So my first book that's coming out in 2023 is with First Second, which was like my utmost top choice in my publishing like career. And it's actually with an editor who edited a lot of my own inspirations. So that's a graphic memoir about like growing up. It's like I would say that it's mostly at first glance, it's like, oh, it's about like a Korean American who grew up in the US and just like felt displaced and not like in a sense of belonging of like either in the US or in Korea, but it's actually like a complicated like intersection of like mental health, diaspora, like abuse, depression. It's a very dark book, and I'm honestly really surprised that they like took on this project because it's just such a sad story. And alongside that, I'm also illustrating, I'm not writing this one, but I'm illustrating a graphic novel with HarperCollins that's also coming out in 2023 called The Other Side of Tomorrow. And it's with an author who is based in Korea. And it's about these kids escaping North Korea. It's fiction, but like it's just like doing more research about North Korea and like the kids and the people who try to escape into these harrowing conditions is just so unreal. And, you know, I think for me, if it's Korean and it has a lot of like emotional dark stuff, like sign me up. Like I'm so in. That's my whole career. Next.
Congrats. That's really amazing.
Yeah, it was just like a very wild accident of decision making, and now it's just like my whole job, which is wild.
That's so exciting. I just also want to congratulate you, because growing up reading comics, like it is so hard to find women of color behind the visuals, behind the storytelling. So I'm really excited to to read it when it's
Thank
available.
you. Yeah, I'll let you all know when it's out. Like, I'm chugging along. It's a lot of work, but I'm trying my best.
Your fan base is growing. I love that.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to say thank you all very much for sharing your story, taking your time, and being a part of all this. And like I said, you're going to be our first Pride Month episode that we're debuting next month or next week. And just good luck to you all, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Yes, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, y'all.
Thank
Well, take
you.
care. Great meeting y'all.
Take
You as
care.
well.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.